Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Girls Like Who's podcast. I'm Tori. I hope you guys are having a great week. First things first, like and subscribe. Follow me on whatever you're listening to this on. I stay up to date on new episodes. I'm honestly really excited to be back. The Commissioner's Cup, the stage is set. It's about to be Fever versus Lynx. You guys know I'm a big Lynx fan. If you guys are new here, I am like biased in terms of the Lynx are my favorite team, but I do the analysis of most of the teams. And honestly, this week, since I've been gone for like the past like 2 weeks, I'm combining my week 3 and week 4 analysis. And truthfully, I'm gonna be real, I ain't really watch any games from week 4. So, but I like watch the quick games and everything. So yeah, I have thoughts. I've obviously had my ear to the ground, about the WNBA. I have a lot of people's opinions in my mind, their analysis on things, and then I have my own analysis. So we're just going to go team by team, and then I'm going to tell you what I think teams need to work on, what I've liked seeing from them, some players I'm enjoying watching from each team, and then I'll be back later this week for, the games that are happening this week. But yeah, Commissioner's Cup games were today. It's super exciting. We're going to talk about them and have that whole conversation. But this week's poll question is, who's winning the Commissioner's Cup? The poll is available for you to vote on over on Spotify. So if you're listening there, or even if you're not listening over there, feel free to go over on Spotify and vote. But yeah, I'm excited to be back. Sometimes I'll say this and then we'll get into the basketball. Sometimes like when I make content, whether it's like on TikTok or it's making this podcast, I'm just an overthinker really bad. Like there are moments when I'm not overthinking and I'm attempting to like, live outside of like my comfort zone and to live outside of fear and just do, whatever feels right to me. And sometimes I overthink everything and then it gets in the way of me doing that. So I had just really been overthinking like, do I feel like doing this podcast? Like, am I doing it because I want to do it? Or like, do I feel like I have to do it? Sometimes things feel like obligations. It doesn't feel fun. And I never want, the stuff that I make to feel like a chore. And then at the same time, it's also like, I don't know. There's a balance that I'm finding. I'm figuring it out. I have to remind myself a lot that like I'm only 24 and like there's so much life left to live. I don't have everything figured out. And, just to have fun doing things. Like there are so many things in life that like you have to do. Like, you have bills to pay. Like you have to go to work. You have to do this, that, and the third. So I don't know. I think this is just like one of those things where like sometimes it's like I had to take a step back and like stop overthinking everything and just have fun with it. And like if I'm not having fun with something, take a step back and like ask myself if it's something that I really want to do and all of that stuff. So yeah, if I'm ever gone, I'm definitely going to let you know on Twitter because I definitely did. I posted a video on my TikTok as well about, me just doing a lot in my mind and just kind of needing to reset. So if you ever are just like looking for an episode or like need an update about what's going on, it's always going to be on Twitter or on TikTok. But I do appreciate you guys so much for sticking with me. If you're listening, watching, again, I'm so appreciative of the community. And I thank you guys so much for, being here and being a part of this. And yeah, so without further ado, I guess we're going to get into the basketball. I'm going to start with the Commissioner's Cup stuff. I have to go back and watch some of the games and then I'll give you like my actual analysis on like the games at the end of this week. But I was just like, I haven't felt like super excited about games because I haven't been watching them live. So I think that's kind of been taking me out of the excitement of it as well. But tonight I came home from work and I watched, okay, all the Commissioner Cup games were on, but like, like if 5 games are on at the same time, like it's really hard to focus on anything. So I'm going to start with like the Liberty and the Dream. That one was on the TV because I live like in Georgia. So I can only watch the games on TV, like they're blacked out otherwise. And I only saw like the second half of the game, but I really thought the Dream were going to win it. I have really enjoyed watching the Dream. We're going to talk about that later, but they've looked really good to me. And, they finally got Jordan Canada back. So I was super excited to watch and see if, they were able to pull it out. And they had I think they had like a 16-point lead or something like that. And then the Liberty, I say it all the time, they're just like a really talented team. I think, there were some moments where the Dream kind of slipped up, like defensively or things like that. I don't remember if they turned the ball over. I can't really recall because there were so many. Like, I was overstimulated trying to watch at least like 3 of the games. So, but I did think they were going to win that game, but I knew as soon as like the Liberty kind of started coming back towards the end of the third quarter, or was it like the beginning of the fourth, whichever it was, they went on a run and I was like, yeah, I think they're probably about to win this game. But I will say I am happy that the Liberty are not in the Commissioner's Cup this year. Clap it up. Yes. Sorry to the Liberty fans out there. I am biased. Okay. But yeah, the Liberty, they're still great. Like, that's an amazing team. Anytime that I do sit down and really watch them, I typically enjoy, I can enjoy it for what it is. It's ethical basketball. I do think that sometimes they don't take care of the ball, or like sometimes they have some slippage, which we'll talk about later again. They have like a little bit of slippage at times where, they will have a lead and then, they'll lose it. So it's a whole thing, but that's neither here nor there. Good team, great talent. Sabrina has been playing really great basketball this season. Oh yeah, that reminds me. All-Star voting is open. So if you want to see your favorite player in the All-Star game, go vote for them. I actually did my All-Star voting. Let me actually pull it up and I'll tell you guys who I voted for. I only voted one time. I haven't made it back since then. Last year I didn't even vote because it's not that I don't care, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like, players, there are certain players that are just gonna be there, and so it's kind of like to the point where it's kind of like, like, not to be like, what is my vote gonna do, because I actually feel like the exact opposite about like actual political voting, or like, I feel very strongly about voting. Everybody should do it if you're of age to do it. Definitely hit the polls when you can. Okay, stand on what you believe. But for this, it's just kind of one of those things. This is basketball. I know who's going to be there for real. So for the guards, I voted Kelsey Plum because y'all know I'm a big Kelsey Plum fan. I voted for Paige because she's Paige Beckers and she's great. Okay. I voted for Skylar Diggins because I feel like she's been having a really great season. Even when like the Storm, like usually for the most part, if the Storm lose a game, it ain't because of Skylar. Know that. And then I voted for Alicia Gray because I feel like she's been playing really great basketball as well. I think tonight's game was like, she didn't do the numbers she usually does, but I have no doubt in my mind, had she done those numbers that we've been used to seeing so far this season, they probably would have won the game. But those are my guards. And then for the front court, I voted Nafisa Collier because y'all know I'm MVP down. Like, that's my vote. She hurt her back actually in today's game. So prayers up to that lady. I need you on that court because you need to be MVP. Okay. Anyways, Asia Wilson, of course, because she's the best in the world. Nobody's topping her yet. Gabby Williams because she's playing amazing defense. Honestly, she's been great defensively. She's contributed to wins for the Storm. And even when they do lose, she's put up 20 points, She's been playing really well. She's just in the passing lanes, really all-around great player, plays hard on both ends of the floor, can facilitate well, great player. If you're not paying attention to Gabby Williams, you definitely should. Then I voted Kiki Iriafen because at the time she was really cooking, and even though she's not cooking right now like that, like she was before, I think she had like a off game like a game ago, and people were kind of on her neck. Okay, not too much. She's just a rookie. I voted for her, but when I vote again, I'm probably not gonna vote for Kiki because she has so much time in her career to get to like an all-star game, but I did just want to vote for her, so I did. Then I voted for Bree Jones because I feel like she's having a really great season with the Dream as well. I felt like she was really good last year. Like I said, she's like an anchor. Defensively, offensively, you know what she's going to give you every single night. And I respect that. I appreciate that. I love a reliable, consistent player, and Bree Jones is like one of the definitions of that. And then I voted Breanna Stewart because she's going to be there. No question. Sabrina's also going to be there. No question. Then that's why it was kind of like, I don't really need to vote for real because I already know who's going to be there. Like, Sabrina's going to be there. Stewie's going to be there. Jonquel is probably going to be there. Asia's going to be there. Nafisa's going to be there. Paige is gonna be there, Caitlin's gonna be there. It's really just about who else is filling in the gaps at this point. Okay, we have to be really serious with ourselves, and that's my realism for the day. But yeah, if you want to do some all-star voting, you definitely should. I might not even vote again. We'll see how I feel. Oh, I'm gonna need this for later. Anyways, back to what I was saying though. I honestly don't even remember where I left off. Anyways, it don't even matter. But yeah, Nafisa hurt her back this game here. Oh yeah, versus the Aces. So she went into the locker room, I think, at like the beginning of the second quarter. So then it was them and the Aces were kind of duking it out. And personally, I was a little bit nervous because, mind you, Asia's out. Like, she's hurt right now. So the Aces are Asia-less, but somehow they won that game. I don't even remember who they played the other day, but they won a game. And I was like, that is so crazy that y'all can win a game without Asia. But when Asia's on that floor, y'all just be acting discombobulated. But we're going to get into the Aces' struggles later. Anyways, but I was really nervous that the Lynx were gonna lose that game low key because, well, not lose it, but I was definitely like kind of nervous. But I was like, honestly, like, Tori, calm down, have faith in your team, because really Cheryl's gonna cuss them out at halftime if they don't get it together anyways, and they're gonna end up coming back in the second half and playing harder. And that's what they did. Courtney Williams gave you 20 points. Diamond Miller, I think she had like 12 or 15, I don't really remember, but she had some good minutes off the bench. Natisha Heidemann has been playing really well for the Lynx. I'm basically getting into some of my analysis now, so let me shut up. But congrats to my Lynx for making it to the Commissioner's Cup. Then, we do have to have a discussion about the Sun versus Fever game. And here's the thing. Again, I try my best to like keep it to the basketball because I feel like in a lot of different areas of the internet, a lot of conversations are being had, and I don't like all the time. I don't really want to platform those conversations because they're already being had. And the quality of those conversations may not always be top tier is what I'll say. Okay, I'm here to make an addendum about my thoughts on the Fever versus Sun situation, the foul, all that stuff. I'm going to start by saying I don't really expect anybody to like 100% agree with me, just because I think that everybody has like, their own standards for like accountability when it comes to players. And we're just all not going to agree with the situation. Some people disagree about the officiating. Some people don't think it should have ever gotten to this point. People should have been ejected previously and stuff like that. So I don't know if there was even like a 100% right way to handle this, but I do think that the officials definitely weren't able to like take control of the situation at the initial point of incident earlier on in the game. But with that being said, I will say this. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I'm a JC Sheldon fan, and I've been a JC Sheldon fan since she got into the league. And I think anything that she's asked to do, she does it, and she does it well when she goes out on the floor. I think that she definitely gives 100% whenever she's out there, and that's how she's gotten her minutes, is doing the small things. Sometimes she's given a defensive assignment and she goes out there and she defends well. Sometimes she's asked to facilitate, cut to the basket, and she does that well. Some other times she's given the ball, she's asked to shoot, and that's it. Like, I think that she does whatever she's asked to do. But moving on from that, I didn't think that Sophie fouling JC at the end, it was just really excessive to me. And the expectation that I have for a more veteran player is that you don't do that, especially with 40 seconds left in the game and they were up like more than 10 points. It was just extremely unnecessary, and I don't agree with it. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't a basketball play because people are going to try to pick that apart if they find this episode. And it doesn't need to be that. It was just simply, it didn't need to happen. It should have never gotten to that point, and the officials let it get out of hand. They didn't have control of the situation, and I think it's fair to push back on officials in that regard. Now, what happened previously, because there's like a lot of layers to this that people want to bring up, the foul that happened earlier on in the game where the officials issued and gave out the texts and everything, I felt like texts were the right move, only because had people been ejected or whatever, I do think that people would have been upset and they would have said, let them play, right? So at that point, then we're having, it's like, you let players play and you don't eject anybody, you don't send anybody off the court, but now you have, the situation that ended the game. And it's like, I think it's a tough balance. I think the officials definitely have to figure out, when to be more aggressive with their ejections and their flagrants and their text or whatever. And they have to figure out like when to like kind of let stuff slide. And that's just gonna have to be up to whatever officials are on the court. But I definitely think that the officials need to get together, have a meeting or whatever, and have a consensus conversation about what they're gonna allow that day. Is it gonna be a more physical game? And if you're gonna do that, you need to be consistent throughout the game doing that or whatever. Now, I will say that I think the only reason that we're even able to have a conversation about what should have happened with the ejections and the flagrants and the text or whatever is because all of the players who were involved were white. That's literally it. And we can try to like walk on eggshells around that fact, but it's the truth. Had it been a black player, we would be having very different conversations right now. And if anything, that's very upsetting to me as a black person, but also as a fan of the game, because if we're going to be holding players accountable for things, it needs to be equal across the board, regardless of race, regardless of whatever. Like, it needs to be a consistent thing, and here it will be. But to me personally, when I watched the initial play where JC had like poked Caitlyn in the eye, it didn't look intentional to me, and it just really gave accident. It really should have never gone to anything beyond that. And then whatever happened after with the shoving and the talking after, like, that's just a part of the game. And honestly, the way that people react to that is like the reason that we can't have like chirpy games and it be super entertaining, because it's like women aren't allowed to go out there and play aggressively because all of a sudden it's, oh, you were doing this recklessly and you were doing this, that, and the third. I don't think that JC plays recklessly. I think that she plays hard defense, and it's one of those things where you can't win in any scenario. If she doesn't play good defense, people would be mad. If she plays good defense, people are mad. So at that point, I think we just have to like hold people to the same standard. If you're going to be mad at one player for doing something, you need to be equally as mad about the other situation. I do think that the officials lost control of the situation. I agree with that. And at the same time, some of this stuff was just basketball stuff. People are always going to be chatting, during the game. Sometimes you accidentally hit somebody in the face. Like, sometimes people get hurt during games. It happens. It's a basketball game. It's physical. It is what it is. I feel like we're all doing a little bit. So if you're going to be in my comment section, be normal, share your opinion if you want to, but those are just my thoughts. And I'm still a JC Sheldon fan till the day I die. I'm going to leave it with that. I do think that sometimes with some players, people kind of won't let you, I won't say won't let you, but people really fight against you holding certain players accountable. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who, attempt to defend what Sophie did and everything. The foul at the end of the game did feel like it was in retaliation to the previous skirmish, I guess you could say, that happened between JC and Caitlyn, and then later, Marina, all that got mixed up. I respect all those players that got mixed up in that. I think all the players are talented and play great basketball. I wanted to say it on Twitter and on TikTok, but at the same time, I have to use a bit of my discernment in some of these cases, because I have had conversations previously about Fever players and stuff like that, like last season and stuff. And like I'll say like the disgusting comments that I've received, and like I won't even say borderline racist, because like the comments were very much racial. And I'm not even like, that's not all Fever fans. I understand that. It's just like the really loud ones sometimes aren't able to, hold space for nuance and have conversations and hold players accountable. So I will say, I do think Caitlyn be pushing and shoving sometimes. And, sometimes people get frustrated with that. Again, that's not an excuse for like, hard fouls or anything like that. And at the same time, what Sophie Cunningham did, I just don't think that there's space for that in the league. With that being said, I'm excited for the Commissioner's Cup game, and I'm excited to see Fever versus Lynx, especially because last season, I don't remember if that was like I can only remember one game they played against each other, and that game like went down to the wire, and the Lynx lost it in the back half. But I'm excited to see that because I really enjoyed their matchup last year. So I think this is going to be a really fun matchup. And I think it's going to be their first matchup so far this season. I don't think they've played each other yet. So yeah, I'm excited for Lynx versus Fever. And obviously I'll be here with my analysis and my thoughts. Without further ado, let's get into the team by team analysis. And then I'll also do like my seeding for the playoffs as well. All right, let's see who we've got here first. Mind you, I like watched all the games for week 3, but I didn't record the episode, and then I watched the quick games for week 4, and then this week I'm locked in, and the episode should be up no later than Saturday evening. Okay, I almost don't even know what to talk about first. I'll start by saying this. Cathy, you need to get it together, okay? I have come to you on numerous occasions last season, and clearly I'm gonna have to come to you this season. It's time for you to put your big girl panties on, okay? It's time for you to put your big girl pants on. I want to know why everybody is playing the same teams. I get it for the Commissioner's Cup games, but there are like certain matchups that I've seen entirely too much of, like Storm versus Aces, Mercury versus Storm, Mystics versus Liberty, the Sky versus Fever matchup, which I already got on your neck for like 2 episodes ago, but that's neither here nor there. Cathy, I need you to really be intentional next year, okay? I really need you to be intentional, to be thoughtful about how often these teams are playing each other early on, because I'm not even gonna lie to you, that's a big reason why I started getting bored and I couldn't even watch the game sometimes, because why would I want to see the same? I watched this game last week. You know, sometimes it's a different outcome, sometimes it's not. I'm not trying to see all that, okay? I don't want to watch the Mystics be whooped by the Liberty 3 times. I don't want to watch that. That's too close together. Split it up. Split it up. Give the Mystics time to like breathe. Give them time to figure it out. Now, I will say the Mystics came back a little bit better those few times, but it gets to a point where it's just like, Cathy, please, okay? So do better. And then secondly, I stay on your neck about this damn officiating. It's not consistent. And that's really my biggest gripe. And I'm sure that's the player's biggest gripe as well. But there are just moments when like I was watching a game from week 3. It was Storm versus Dream. And it was like every single time a Dream player got any amount of contact in the paint, they were going to the free throw line. Okay. But when I watched the Storm game, like that came on like a day or 2 later, no calls in the paint. Be consistent with it, okay? That's all we're asking. I'm not asking you to, give a favorable whistle. I'm not asking you to do none of that. Just tell the officials to be consistent. If you need to have like a big group Zoom meeting, I don't know what you need to do, but it needs to be consistent. And also, y'all need to get those damn the challenges too. The reviews and the challenges, y'all got to cut the time on that. Some of this stuff is taking way too long, okay? We're spending way too much time at the monitor. And sometimes, like, there are so many fouls being called as well that, like, it's like the pace of the game. Like, there was this one game I was watching, they were calling fouls left and right. Like, it took like more than 20 minutes to get through the quarter. Cathy, you're gonna have to do a little bit better, okay? Okay, I'm coming to you as kindly as I know how, because you already upset me last year when you put that New York City skyline dress on, and I've been trying to forgive you for that, but it's been really hard for me, okay? So I'm going to let that rest, okay? And then hopefully I don't have to come back on here in a few days and get you again. But that just might have to be how the cookie crumbles, okay? Anyways, to get into some other things, there's a lovely Twitch stream by Natisha Heidemann and Courtney Williams. It's called the StudBudz, okay? It's on Twitch. I'm sure everybody sees the clips on Twitter, on Instagram. If you're like locked into the WNBA space, like you've seen the clips. They have a Twitch they go live on like every day that they don't have a game. They are honestly like really entertaining and super fun. And y'all know I love my Lynx, so go over there, check out their content, watch the lives, get to know them. My team is not boring. They have personality. Know that. Anyways, what else is on this list? Oh yeah. Yueru trade request. I haven't been able to see. She just played with the Wings tonight, but I didn't really watch the game for real because I was watching the real games. So I'm gonna go back and rewatch that game, and then I'll have like my actual analysis on like whether or not this was a good trade or whatever. As the week goes on, I guess. But yeah, I wasn't surprised by the trade request because last season, she initially made the trade demand from the Sparks because she wanted to play more. And, with the Storm, I didn't really think she was going to be able to play that much, but she was going to be on a contender. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this will be okay. But, then there was another trade request. And, like, the thing is that I don't really know if it's necessarily the player who's making these requests. Allegedly, the streets are saying allegedly that the China national team is kind of pushing for her to be on a team that's a contender or for her to just play more minutes. So yeah, I don't really know if that was fully in her control, but allegedly that's what some reports were saying. Allegedly. This week, my player of the week to watch is Gabby Williams. I feel like she's been playing phenomenal basketball on both ends of the floor. She's given you some good offense. She's played some great defense. She's getting in the passing lane. She can facilitate well. If I think if you aren't really hip to the Seattle Storm, if you don't really know who Gabby Williams is, you hear about her here and there, definitely check out a game because she's playing hard every single game. And, a lot of times she gives a really great performance even if they don't win. So she's definitely one of my favorite players to watch so far this season. And I'm excited to see what she does, especially because, again, I've mentioned it before, but last season she joined them like later on in like the second half of the season after the Olympics. So I'm excited. I was already excited to see what she was going to look like with the team, like the full season. And you can definitely feel her impact, whether it's like in the stats or just like visibly like watching the game. But she's a really great player. And, if you're looking for a player that, you want to support. But if you're looking for a player that goes hard, plays hard every single game on every possession, is Gabby Williams, okay? I'll try my best to be quick, all right? I don't have like too many things to say because, again, I didn't really even watch week 4 games. I was just vibing, I watched week 3 and then I just wanted to come on here and then combine the ones I watched for week 3 and 4. You know what I'm saying? We'll start with the Dream. Comparing this team to last season's team, it's night and day. Last season, they struggled to win games without Jordan Canada. And this season, unfortunately, they had to start, the first few weeks without her because of the injury that she suffered during the preseason game versus the Mystics. And they have not struggled nearly in the same way that they did before. Tahina Powell really came in and gave good rookie minutes. Ryan Howard also, I think, has shouldered a lot of the pressure with, facilitating and running the point. And she did very well. And so I know Jordan, is making her way back and everything. And they're probably figuring out, when to play her, getting her minutes up and everything. But I'm excited for this Dream team. I think they're going to do some really big things. Alicia Gray's having a great season so far. She's been putting up some big numbers for them. Ryan Howard had a great game versus the Storm in week 3. I did think that they got off to like kind of a slow start versus the Storm when they played them. And also, I will say that the officiating for this game was a little suspect. I'll be honest. I do think that to a certain degree, like the defense has to be able to adjust to how the game is being officiated. But there were just like a couple of calls, or like actually like most of the calls in the fourth quarter, they were kind of egregious. And I'm saying that like I want the Dream to be great, that is the home team regardless of the beef that we've had. I'm trying to squash the beef. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to be there and support the team because that's the home team and they're doing some big things. Bree Jones has been great as well. I think she's just a very reliable and efficient player. I did like the adjustment that the coach made during the Storm game. I think BG was kind of having like an off night, so being able to move off of BG. And that's another thing where the front office did a great job with the pickup of Bree Jones because when BG isn't having a great game, you know, you can kind of lean on Bree Jones. And if Bree Jones is ever struggling, you know, you can lean on BG. And I just really like that setup of those two. But yeah, I've been really impressed with the Dream. I like the coach. Um, as far as rookie coaches go, he's probably having like the best season so far. The lady for the Sparks, she's struggling. The Mystics head coach, he started off good. He's been making some good adjustments. And to me, I think he's still valid. Nobody's really calling for his job yet. But as for the other three, the Dallas Wings coach and the Sparks coach and the Sky coach, girl, I don't know. The Sky have picked it up though. They have. I'm hearing. I'm gonna start watching their games because I told you I wasn't watching them damn games. But they're figuring it out. They're figuring it out. That's neither here nor there. But the Dream, they look good. I'm excited to watch them this week, and I think they're gonna do some big things. Again, I think it really just comes down to the guards shooting well. I think they have a very formidable post. They have formidable post players. I think Naz Hillman has definitely been playing well. Nia Coffey has been playing well. Everybody on the team has been playing well. Anybody who comes off the bench has given some good production, good minutes. So the Dream are the only people in their way, honestly, in my mind. Good luck to them, and shout out to that coach because he's doing a damn good job with them. Next up, we have the Sky. Damn. They lost Courtney Vandersloot, and I'm really sad about that because, you know, I know that she was excited to come home and play, and a lot of fans were excited to have her come back and play. And I felt like she was going to be a really great, like, veteran leader for this team. And at the same time, with that being said, I think that this is a good opportunity for Haley Van Lith to get some minutes. You know, she did get the opportunity to watch Courtney play, and, you know, she still has the opportunity to learn from her and everything. So, you know, I think it's just going to be really interesting. This is a really tough loss for them. I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of the Sky games, and y'all know that. And that's no hate to the Sky. It was just y'all were giving unbearable to watch for a second there. Y'all were. But I'm about to lock in. I want to support you. I know Angel got that triple-double the other day, and she got a double-double tonight for the Commissioner's Cup game thing. And she's playing a lot better. I've heard people say that the point forward, she's point forwarding, okay? She's making some good passes. I actually saw her pass the ball to Camila Cardoza, and I was like, you know what? They look good. They look good. I'm excited for that. I'm seeing that, you know, the shooting is better. The rotation is better. I'm seeing people call for that man's job less. So something must be going right over there in the water in Chicago. Congrats to the Sky. I know y'all are still figuring it out. I think they lost the game tonight to the Mystics. And I think the Mystics were down like 16 at one point. But I'm going to go back and watch that. And I'm going to get to y'all and see. I'm going to come back and I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to start watching them Sky games because y'all are giving me a reason to watch now, okay? Y'all aren't getting blown out anymore. So I'm going to go over there and I'm going to take a peek. And I'm going to be stronger at the end of the week. Know that. Know that. As for Tyler Marsh, I don't think I'm going to be able to save you, but things are looking better for you. They're looking up, okay? It's looking like you might be able to keep that job one more season. Good luck to you, sir. Next up, we have the Sun. You know, people have been talking about the Sun. They've been talking about them. And they were like, why does the Sun coach get a pass? Because he be losing games. Not too much. Not too much on that man. I'm going to say this. I think the difference between the head coaches whose jobs are being called for and the ones who aren't publicly, I think it's just the belief that the front office or team has. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching a game the other day. I think I mentioned this in an episode previously, but whoever they were interviewing, the commentators at the Sun, Mohegan Sun or whatever, they were talking to like the head of basketball operations, somebody, GM, I don't know. But they were kind of talking about like how excited they are for the pieces that they have. And I agree with them. They have a lot of young pieces. This is one of those teams that, yes, I've said this before, I'll say it again. This is one of those teams that's not going to be touched for real unless they just decide to make moves next season. But this is one of those teams that's going to have a chance to gel and grow together properly because the CBA is going to be up and so many players are going to be free agents, but this team, a lot of them are rookies. They're young. So they have a couple of years that, they are obligated to play on this team unless they get traded. And so they have time to like figure things out, to gel, and they could be definitely potentially like one of the better teams next season or as the seasons go. I'm not going to sit here and say they'll be in the playoffs next season, but they definitely are going to have a leg up chemistry wise because they've been playing together. A lot of these players are on rookie contracts, and I think that the coach is a good coach. Sometimes the games be close. Now, did they get blown out by the Liberty? The other day I watched that game and I was like, damn, that's tough. But I liked what I saw. They had good pieces. You know what I'm saying? Like they had flashes of greatness. It's just like, damn, y'all are a really young team playing the champions from last season. I can't be mad at you. You know what I'm saying? And people were kind of like, well, why doesn't this coach get called out for like losing games? It's because the front office is clearly behind that man. And honestly, the team, clearly, they believe in him. They support him. We're talking about, this is a team where Marina Mabrey was asking out, okay? She didn't even want to be there. She said, I'm good off that, actually. And now she's over there doing lives on TikTok with the rookies. She's having a good time. She's really bought into the culture. And she's here to be a vet and to help them learn and to grow with them. And I'm happy and I'm excited for it, honestly. I think that one of the unfortunate things for the Sun, though, is that their success really hinges on Marina and Tina. Like, if Marina's not having a good game, if Tina's not having a good game, they both have to be having a good game, okay? Know that. If one of them's having a bad game, y'all are losing, okay? But that's okay because you're playing with the rookies. And sometimes the rookies come off the bench, or sometimes some other players come off the bench and they give you a little boost. Bria, I'm gonna say that. Bria be coming off the bench and she'll give you, she has experience. That's a seasoned vet. She can come off the bench and give you some points. Sanaya Rivers has been playing great. She's contributing and bringing good energy to both ends of the floor. Like, she plays some amazing defense. And I think it's really great to have rookies like Sanaya, like JC. Well, JC's not really a rookie. She's like a second year, but still younger players. I think it's really great to have those players come in off the bench and they can give you that good energy and they can contribute. And it may not always be like offensively, but they come out there and they play hard and they play the right way. They share the basketball. They know to get the ball to Marina. They know to get the ball to Tina. And I definitely commend that. Marina definitely deserves a shout out because she had like a 30+ point game versus the Dream, and she's the reason they won that game. Okay, they lost to the Mystics later on, but that again, and did they get blown out that week before? Yes, but that again, that's what's expected of this team. They're young, they're gritty though, and I like them. What I'm finding is that I like the teams that struggle. That's what I'm finding. Okay, but I will say I think that whenever teams are able to keep Marina out of rhythm shooting wise, or if a team plays really great perimeter defense, or if Tina is just having an off night shooting in the paint or in the mid-range or whatever, those are the times when they will lose games because they don't really have like somebody else, to come up big for them. And that's just an area where they have to grow. But outside of that, I really enjoy the Sun. I think they're a really fun team. And honestly, the only people in the Sun's way is the Sun, honestly, in the future. And of course, really good defense and everything. But I think the Sun, like within the next like 3 or 4 years, they could be like playoff potential. And I think they could be on their way up. That's just my opinion. For the Fever, I'm going to keep it a buck. I don't really have much to say because I wasn't really paying attention to them games. Full transparency. I said before that, I be watching the second half of the games, but like sometimes I wasn't even watching them, I heard that Arian McDonald was having a good time over there. She was playing well. And honestly, they started winning some games once they got Ari. And I'm happy for her because I like Arian McDonald, and I was sad that she got away from the Sparks. And I'm happy that she could be like a part of winning or like a key piece to winning for the Fever so that hopefully another team, if they need her for like a hardship contract or something, they can pick her up. But with that being said, I wasn't really watching any of them Fever games, and the streets are saying that I watched them. Let me look at my notes. Maybe I have something to say. I don't know. Oh, girl, I know I definitely skipped that Mystics versus Fever game. I did. Yeah, I had said something about Aaliyah Boston was in foul trouble. Damn, did I say anything else? Do I even have notes for any? Damn. Okay, Sun versus Fever. What do I have to say? Oh, that was when Sydney Colson got hurt, and then Sophie Cunningham got hurt, and then oh yeah, you know what? I do have something to say about the Fever. You know, when they played through Aaliyah Boston, I think they always have the opportunity to win something. I will say this though, I think Sophie Cunningham is a good facilitator. You know, she kept them in the game after Sydney went down. This was their game versus the Sun, because I ain't watching that game last week. But they beat the Liberty this weekend, actually. Congrats to them. I need to go back and watch that game. But I definitely just think that the Fever defense is at its best when Lexi and Sophie are on the floor together. And Aaliyah Boston is playing very well. I will say I think that Natasha Howard has kind of, I think she kind of has to find her fit. I think she has to figure out, she has to work on shot selection a little bit. I think that she's definitely capable of making the shots that she takes. But, it could just be like an unlucky bounce type of thing. It could just be like an off season. I have heard some people say we have to have some uncomfortable conversations about Natasha Howard. But with that, I will say that last season when she played with the Wings, she was good. She was good. I think that this might just be like one of those things where you're trying to figure out when to play, as aggressively and when not to, and figure out that balance. This is a new team. This is a new system, a new coach. So it's a lot of figuring things out. The Fever have been through a lot of ups and downs with, injuries and everything. I will say this, even though the Fever lost the game versus the Sun, I think every team, it's always in their best interest to be able to figure out how to win without their star player. Obviously the stars make the team better. Like the Liberty look great when Stewie and Sabrina are on the court. The Aces look good when Asia is on the court and everyone is playing well. The Lynx look their best when Nafisa's on the court. The Fever look best when Caitlin's on the court. And at the same time, your star player has to be able to rest. Like, you have to be able to figure out how to continuously produce offense when they're not on the court. And I think that that's kind of where a few teams have kind of gone wrong in the past, namely the Aces I'm thinking of right now, because Asia's she's out right now because she has a concussion. But, there are times when this team looks not great, even with Asia on the floor. There are times when they look decent without her on the floor, and there's times when they look really bad without her on the floor. And, some of that comes down to, some of these players never got minutes before, and now Becky's turning to her bench and she has to give the minutes because she's looking for answers. I think today versus the Lynx, they went on like a 0. They didn't score any points for like 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. It's like stuff like that. Like, you have to, be willing to let your rookies or let your young people on the bench play so that, you have somebody to turn to when your star player is hurt or out. And even though the Fever lost that game versus the Sun, this was a really great trial period for them because Caitlin has to be able to rest. Like, once you get to the playoffs, you can't just run your player into the ground. That's how people, get injured or, anything can happen at that point. Like, sometimes injuries happen or whatever. You have to be able to win without them or figure out how to win without them, whether it's one game or like 5 or 6 of them. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with, the Fever losing, especially right now, because the earlier on in the season, they figure out how to win without her. Like, the better they'll be with her later on in the season. So I'm not mad at it. And I do think that, again, when you compare this team to like teams like the Lynx or like the Liberty, I think Jonquel has been out for a little bit and the Liberty have they've struggled a bit. Not really, because they have like juggernaut player. Like, they have amazing players on the court like at all times, and even like their bench depth is insane. But when you compare the Lynx to like a team like the Fever. The Lynx can win without Nafisa. It doesn't look as good without her though. You know, like games are tight. It's the defense. Ooh, who's gonna do offense? If Courtney's having an off night, who's gonna step up to the plate? And I think they always kind of find an answer. They always kind of figure out a way to win. But again, the Lynx are able to win without Nafisa. And I think for some of these other, playoff contending teams, when you do sit back and ask yourself, can this team win without their star or without their stars? A lot of times the answer is no. So I think that, this was a really great, not like great that Caitlyn got hurt, but I think it's a good experience for them to be able to create and generate offense, figure out who needs to be, who needs to have the ball in their hands if Caitlyn's resting, who needs to be, who can play defense, who can cut to the paint, who can get us an and one, who can get to the free throw line, all those things. I think it's just very important, and I think this is just a natural part of the process of figuring out how to win and how to get to a championship or how to get deeper into the playoffs. So I'm interested to see what the Fever do from this point moving forward. With that being said, let's move on to the next team, the Liberty. Y'all know I don't really have too much to say about them ever, but I will say they did take an L this past week, so to the Fever. So we're back even, me and my Lynx. I was a little concerned because I know that the Liberty fans were praying on my Lynx downfall when they lost that game to the Storm, and they were like, oh, the Lynx and put a sock in it because y'all lost, okay? Know that. You took an L to a team as well. Anyways, but we're back even. I'm not mad at it. I will say, obviously, the Liberty, Stewie has been really great. Sabrina, honestly, she's really stepped up, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't too impressed with her finals performance in the back half there. She still got a ring, so and she was injured, so I'm not too much. But Sabrina has really like stepped up. She's been putting up 30 points some of these games. She's been having some really great games. She's having a really great season. Stewie, of course, a winner, a champion on every level, I believe, but she has been playing really well. And again, they've been winning these games without Jonquel. And so I think, obviously, this team is definitely going to go deep in the playoffs and will probably end up in the championship game as long as, everyone stays healthy and everything. But their bench is so deep. Marine Johannes has been playing great off the bench. I've liked seeing her facilitate a bit more. And, I think she has, like, the green light to really, like, shoot some shots. And she's an amazing shooter. So that's been great. There's somebody else who comes at the bench. I don't remember her first name. I think it's like Jessica Gardner or something like that. She's been really good off the bench as well. I'm trying to think of if there's anything I'm missing. Natasha Howard, I think that this team has been really great with her on the floor. I know sometimes I don't think she starts. Does she? I don't really even remember. I don't even know the starting lineup for this team, honestly. Natasha Cloud has been really great off the bench. She's been playing really well. I don't know if she's been starting. I don't recall, but she just seems happy to be there. And you can definitely like tell. I think she was like a really good like replacement if you couldn't keep Courtney Vandersloot to go and get Natasha Cloud. She's been playing really great. But yeah, I've been really impressed with the Liberty. Unfortunately, it makes me sick to my stomach, but Sandy, she's doing a good job over there, I guess. Anyways, moving on to the Mystics. As I've said before, the Mystics have taken some L's, they played the Liberty two, 3 times. Okay. I'm so sick of that matchup. They played the Fever and they lost. Then they played the Sun, they won but I think, people have kind of been off the Mystics a little bit because Kiki and Sonia have kind of, hit a little slump a little bit. But, they're rookies. They're playing through it. I think I've heard some rumblings that people think Aaliyah Edwards is going to be traded. That kind of makes me sad because I like Aaliyah Edwards and, she played really well in Unrivaled. It was just unfortunate that her and Shakira were injured at the beginning of the season. I know some people have talked about, her getting less minutes and everything with Kiki and everything. And I'm not even going to sit here and speculate anything because I like Aaliyah Edwards. I think she has a role on this team. I think it's just about, figuring out like what that role is. And, it's hard to come into like a season when you've been out because you're injured and you see these rookies playing really well. Obviously you want them to excel and do well because you wanted that same treatment for yourself, but they've traded a lot of pieces away, and Aaliyah Edwards, we want her to have more minutes. She's a great player. And so, I think the coach is really just figuring out, when to play who and how to do that, figuring out when to play Shakira and all those things, and figuring out what works best for the team. So I'm excited to see, where that goes in the future. I hope she gets some more minutes. I hope she doesn't get traded because I do like her playing for the Mystics. But if she does get traded somewhere, I hope that, that's a good decision and she gets good minutes. And I hope that would be the best move for her career. But as of right now, I don't want to speculate anything because, I enjoy seeing her with the Mystics, and I like this young group kind of figuring things out. And even last season, watching her figure things out with this team and on the court was really fun. And again, I'm just pleased with the Mystics. I don't mind watching a team have to kind of grit it out, and that's what they do. Like every night they play great basketball. I think the coach makes some good adjustments. Sonia and Kiki have played really well. I'm excited to see Georgia. I say it every single time. I wish Georgia was out there on the floor, but she's with the team. I think Jade Melvin, Brittney Sykes. Brittney Sykes has been amazing. She's been great. She's been putting up like 20, 30 points. Now, people have been judging her because it's been at the free throw line, but if she knows how to get to the free throw line, that's none of my business, okay? If she can get there, whatever happens after that, if they're blowing that whistle, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Get the points how you can. Get them how you can. All I know is that defense got to adjust. All I know. But yeah, her and Jade Melvin have played really well. I know Emily Ingsler has been getting some good minutes. Lucy Olson, she's figuring out her role there. And yeah, I just like this Mystics team. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm ready to see the full thing though, all together. I'm not going to be able to see it until like next season though, but that's okay. I feel like you have to wait for greatness, and I think that that's definitely going to be like one of those things. Next up, we have the Wings. Full transparency, I have not been watching no Wings games. I have not been doing that because why would I? You know what I'm saying? Like there was no page, and I was like, girl, well, this team just be struggling. I will say I need to come on here and defend Dejanay Carrington though, because she's been very consistent, and I feel like people have not been like showing her like the respect she deserves. There have been some people who have been saying that they don't think she's gonna stay next season. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't think that the coach is using the pieces he has very well, but it's just one of those things. Like they've had a couple of games where it was really close, and it was like, you have to blame the coach because it wasn't the players. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of speculation that people have and everything, and I'm not gonna speculate anything, but I do want to see the Wings be better. And hopefully, I think Maddie Segrist got hurt. Actually, yeah, she got hurt, and she's going to be out for a little bit, which is unfortunate because I really like Maddie Segrist. She had a really great season last season, and I was hoping to see her kind of, build on that. But, again, this is one of those things where I think it's like, things will come in time. And I think that Wings team, they have to figure some things out. And hopefully by the time she comes back, they're looking a little bit better than they have. They've struggled a lot. They won this game tonight because why would Paige not win? She had Gino fly down from Connecticut all the way to Dallas. Who knows how long that flight is, okay? And y'all thought she was going to lose the game in front of her coach? I don't think so. Paige is going to do everything in her power to win that game, as she should. She put the team on her back. Anyways, but yeah, the Wings, they need work. Maisha Hines-Allen isn't moving me, so I'm kind of happy with the Yueru trade. No shade to Maisha because I feel like she has her moments. I think she does a little things. She does the things that maybe I'm not thinking of, as a viewer. Maybe she does things that I don't know. People always say she has high basketball IQ. I don't question that. Just sometimes she be selling them damn layups. And that's all I'm going to say on that. That's all I'm going to say. So I guess we'll see what happens with the Wings. I'm going to watch the games from, this week. And I'm going to come back with deeper analysis, stats, and everything. So, yeah, those are just my blanket thoughts. But I was not watching them damn games with that Paige. Know that. Anyways, the Valkyries. they've taken some losses, but they beat the Aces. And actually, let's talk about that. Actually. The Valkyries, they're, I don't remember if I said it here. I have gone into, like, I've been excited about the Valkyries. I didn't agree with the wavings and stuff that happened early on in the season. But as, like, the first few games happened, I was kind of like, you know what, maybe Natalie did her big one. Maybe she was right about that one and that two. Okay. So I gave her a little bit of grace. And as I've been watching the Valkyries play, they look really great. I know a lot of people, were like, they're going to be bad and everything. Actually, Justice, who I go live with, she was like, they're going to suck. They're going to be trash. And I was kind of like, well, you don't know. Like, they could be good. And I'm not going to lie, I'm glad I stood on business, Sometimes I wavered a little bit because you hear other people's opinions so often that sometimes you just waver a little bit. But for the most part, I've tried my best. I wasn't 10 toes down on the Valkyrie, but I was like at least 7 toes, okay? At least 7 or 6 of them toes was down. The other 3 or 4, they were up a little bit. But I have for the most part remained firm in my belief that the Valkyrie were going to be decent, okay? And they have done nothing but prove that they are definitely giving playoff contenders. I think they're definitely they're going through a very interesting scenario right now because, and really a lot of people in the league are, because a lot of people are away playing Eurobasket. But I will say that the Valkyrie have definitely lost a lot more of their players than most teams. But I think, it's been really fun to watch them play. Their system seems to really work. I think Natalie is a great coach. She makes good adjustments. I think she did a great job with this roster. I think she's been doing a great job with the hardship pickup she's made since, losing some of her players. And I don't know. I just really like the team. They're very scrappy, very gritty, and they play hard. I like Janelle Salon, she's good. I like Carla Late. Julie Van Lowe has been kind of quiet. She's away playing in Europe as well, but I liked her first game. I think this is going to be a little bit more about consistency. Timmy Fekbenle has been very good as well. Like she played some really great defense on Afisa Collier when they played the Lynx. I'm trying to think of some other players. Stephanie Talbot I haven't seen like those flashes of her that I saw with the Sparks, but I think it's just a matter of time on that. Cecilia Zandalicini played some good basketball, honestly, when she was out there on the floor. So yeah, I just like the Valkyries. I think they're playing really well. Kate Martin has really been having some good games. I think she had like a 20-point game like 2 weeks ago or something. She's been doing really well. She played well against the Aces. So yeah, and they beat the Aces in like last week. So shout out to the Valkyrie. Y'all keep doing what you do. Natalie, keep your head up, okay? You right now are looking like one of the only rookie head coaches that is cooking real good. All right. Next up, we have the Aces. The Aces are a hot mess, to say the least. And that's no shade because I really got deep into like when I first started watching like the WNBA, like I was deep in the Aces. They beat the Sparks, and it's just one of those things where it's like it's tough to be excited about them beating the Sparks in week 3. They lost in week 4, I believe. But in week 3, it's tough to be excited because the Sparks aren't healthy. Like the Sparks, they're not at their best. They're basically in a rebuild right now. Like it's tough to be like, oh my gosh, they beat the Sparks. That's so great. I'm not moved. And even when they beat the Storm, I'm not moved because the Storm, they be picking and choosing when to show up on games too sometimes, okay? The Aces, I mean, they do it far less than the Aces, but the Aces look a hot mess right now, okay? And I'm going to stand 10 toes on what I had said in the preseason episode and what I said on Twitter and everywhere I've said it. The Aces did not win this trade. I'm sorry. They didn't. I'm not moved by Jewel Lloyd right now, okay? I'm not moved. Jewel had a decent game. I think the first game where Asia was out, her, Jackie, and Chelsea had a good games, but it's just like, where were those games when Asia was on the floor? I'm really struggling right now, and you can tell that Becky is also struggling. Like, sometimes I can tell that Becky can't believe her eyes. Like, she can't believe that this is the team she got. I'm going to be really real with you for a second. This team, like, they confuse me. They confuse me. There's moments when they played the Valkyrie. There were moments when they played the Mercury and the okay, I already said that. But there were moments when the Aces played the Valkyrie, or they played the Mercury, they played the Sparks, and they just look more than discombobulated. The defense looks tired. The defense sometimes it's not even like a joint effort. And I do find it ironic that they happened to play good against the Storm that game. Now, the one before then, they got blown out, but that's why they had to play well against the Storm because they had just got blown out the previous week, but also because of the implications of Jewel Lloyd on this team. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had a reason to play well. But sometimes it's like I watch the Aces and it's like if they don't have a reason to play well, they don't. And that's confusing to me. Even when I watched them play the Lynx today. Like, the offense, it's like we're searching. The ball is moving around, but like sometimes it's like the shots just aren't falling. I don't know if that's just like a luck thing or if it's just like, damn, y'all just can't catch a break. Like, I don't know. The Aces, it's so questionable. The defense, like I said, is bad. I watch people set terrible screens often, okay? I watch people set terrible or moving screens, okay? What's something else they be doing wrong? Let me get this off. Chelsea Gray should be bringing that ball up every time. I'm sorry. Like, Jackie is a good facilitator, and like, if it's not Chelsea, it needs to be Jackie. But if it's not Chelsea or Jackie, it don't need to be nobody else. Know that. Okay? Know that. I have been so disappointed. I have seen Dana Evans bring that ball up, and this is no shade to Dana because I know she'd be getting a lot of flack from the Sky fans previously. But Dana, you're not moving me right now. I can't even be mad at them people for real because she'd be smoking layups. She'd be taking contested layups. The shot selection by a lot of the players is not great. Chelsea, I'm not even going to lie, Chelsea's a great point guard. Lately, it's been giving like she's hunting her shot a little too much. We need to pull back on that. Pull back on the reins. Sometimes Chelsea's not even setting anything up. Like, sometimes it's giving people are just playing ISO and then they're just trying to figure it out and get to in the paint and get the free throw. Like, sometimes I can tell that like you didn't even go up there to make the shot. You threw the ball up there because you wanted the foul call. And then when you don't get the foul call, you be yelling at the refs like, why didn't you? My arm. Baby, they didn't touch you. They didn't touch you. And even if you did, you weren't going for the shot for real. You were going for the foul, okay? And I can't, it's tough. It's tough because, again, I want to love the Aces. I want to support them. I want to do all these things. I want to see them be great. And at the same time, y'all look low-key a hot mess right now. There are things to work on. I will say I like that Becky's giving the bench some time, to shine. She's moving. She's going to some different pieces. I think she really trusts Aaliyah Nye. And Aaliyah Nye is playing well with her minutes off the bench. Liz Kitley, she's played some decent minutes as well. KB has been playing some good minutes as well. It's just about, we need it consistently. We need Jackie. Also, Jackie got hurt tonight. I hope she's okay. I hope nothing is too bad. I'd hate to see an injury. I hate that. Chelsea Gray, though, we do have things to work on. As a team, the defense is questionable. The offense is questionable. The screens are questionable. There's not many things that, like, I'm sure of, but I'm sure that the team is questionable. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm going to move away from that because that's going to piss me off if I keep talking about that. Next up, we have the Sparks. The Sparks are a hot mess. I'm not even going to hold you. And actually I have like a list of things that the Sparks do wrong. I think I was on live the other day and somebody was like, why are the Sparks bad? And I had like my whole little list. I'm going to start by saying players struggle to finish around the rim. That is like the first issue. I will say that I know Kelsey kind of talked about openly that the refs don't call fouls, stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know if that's 100% the case. What I will say is that I think players have to figure out how to finish through contact. Kelsey is one of the people who can do that and does that well. She gets to the free throw line. This team relies far too much on Kelsey, though, for them to win games. And that is a big issue. I will say that Odyssey Sims, her offense has been really great, at least for the games that I saw in week 3. Their biggest Achilles heel, though, is one, their defense, but two, in the third quarter, they just fall apart. Like, there's so much slippage with that team in the third quarter, and then they try to, like, get the game back at the end, and it's not working. It's not working. Let me find my notes about everything that the Sparks are doing wrong, because the Sparks be pissing me off, and they do it regularly. I will say shout out to Rakia Jackson, first of all, for the 30-point game she put up. I didn't watch it, but I'm happy for her that she came back. I have been like kind of questionable about whether or not the Sparks being fully healthy is the only like reason that they haven't like won games on a consistent basis, just because I don't want to put a bunch of pressure on rookies or on players who haven't played that much. Like Cameron Brink has not played that much, and when she did, she had a lot of foul trouble. And you hope that she comes back and is going to be different. That is the hope, and I think that she's capable of doing that. At the same time, if she doesn't come with that level, that's okay, And even with Ray Burrell, she played well and Unrivaled, but if she does struggle when she comes back, that doesn't need to be pressure on her. You know what I'm saying? It needs to just be figuring out how to play well together, and that just needs to be like the first thing that we're focused on, not necessarily what they are or aren't doing and whether or not they are contributing to winning and losing and all the things like that. I think it needs to be like a learning experience. So Rakia Jackson coming back again, she was like the only rookie who was healthy last season, so like not unexpected, not crazy, but I am happy that when she did come back, she was able to put up that performance. Okay, with that being said, I like Julie Aleman. I like her defense. I like that she's able to facilitate and help run the point, so that's not something that Kelsey is like super focused on doing, because I think that Kelsey needs to be focused on scoring the ball. At the same time, Odyssey Sims, like obviously she's a great point guard, but I like Odyssey Sims being able to give you that offense. I think that it kind of, the chain of command offensively is like Kelsey, De'Erica, Odyssey. And so I like those three kind of being consistent. There are some times when like one of them is playing really, really great, and then there are other times when the other two aren't, or like two of them are playing really well and one of them isn't. So finding that balance, but I do like that, they can trust Julie Aleman to come in, facilitate, run the point, and play good defense. Again, I've said it before, Julie Aleman and Sarah Ashley Barker play really great defense together as a unit, and I think that their best like defensive unit is anything with those two on the court. So if those two can kind of like, consistently give you some offense, I think they'll be in good shape. How the Sparks lost their game versus the Mercury and how I think that they lose games often. Obviously, I've said just really bad third quarters, but the Mercury were down like 13 points at the half. The Sparks had shot like 48% in the first half to the Mercury's 27%. The Sparks were winning on the boards and they were beating them in the paint 24-10. But they lost this game in the third quarter because they couldn't take care of the ball. Somebody's always in foul trouble. In that game in particular, it was Azure, but sometimes it's Kelsey. Sometimes it's... who's somebody else on the team? Girl, I don't even know who can play, for real, But sometimes they just have people who are in foul trouble, and that's definitely going to be like an issue. Like they have to be able to defend without fouling, and because they struggle to do that, it's tough to win games and to get stops in, all of these things when, or even just like it's tough to win games when somebody who you should be at times running your offense through is in foul trouble. They struggle to defend without fouling. That was next in my notes. That's crazy. I already got there. Can't finish at the rim, like I said at the beginning. The coach, there was at one point where like the Mercury were getting hot and they had gone on like a 21-7 run, and she didn't call a timeout. I felt like the Sparks defense had become very relaxed at certain points, and I feel like everybody does that to the Mercury. It's like the Mercury will not play well at the beginning of the game, and then like maybe it's because like the team is playing good defense, or maybe it's just because the Mercury are cold, but it's like something happens at halftime and like the teams that they play against, like they get too relaxed, or I don't know if it's just that the Mercury just starts shooting better, but the Mercury will go on like a 20 something run and then they'll be back in the game and then they'll beat their opponent. And a lot of times it comes because, maybe Satu hasn't had the best night. So people stop defending her thinking that she's going to stop shooting. And then she starts shooting again and she making them. And then once she starts making them, she's not going to stop trying. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even make sense. And then there's Catherine Westbeld, who honestly, she plays really well in the paint, and she can hit the three. And it's like people consistently don't respect her on the perimeter, and they leave her with like too much space, or they leave her like wide open and she knocks down shots and she gets hot, or like she's the reason that the team starts going on runs. And y'all are just gonna have to do better. I felt like the Sparks didn't do well defending the perimeter. There were moments when like the Mercury just had them scrambling and they were taking shots late in the shot clock. I don't know. De'Erica had missed some free throws. Sometimes people would just be missing free throws on the Sparks team. Like, y'all have things to work on, and I would like to see y'all do better. And so, now I think Kelsey's hurt, so I don't even know how long she'll be out. But girl, the Sparks can't catch a break, it seems, for another season in a row. Next, we'll talk about the Lynx. I don't really know what their system is in particular, but what the greatest strength that I think the Lynx have is just the same as like the Liberty. I think they have multiple people that they can turn to. I don't think that, it's not necessarily like they don't have the star power that the Liberty have, but I think that they're a system. But I think that their system allows them to kind of, get everybody a touch. And then it kind of just allows the offense to, I don't even really know how to explain it. The offense kind of finds the player, and it's kind of weird. But I feel like they move the ball well enough to where, you can always find somebody open on the perimeter. You can always, find somebody cutting in the paint. It's just like a lot of like motion offense at times, and I like that. It's not like a lot of ISO basketball. They have some plays that they run, but a lot of times, they're just sharing the ball well, and that's what leads to their offense being great. Obviously, you have a star like Napheesa Collier, and you're able to run offense through her, but even when she's not on the floor, having players you can count on like Courtney Williams, like Kayla McBride, this season like a Natisha Heideman coming off the bench and someone who's able to facilitate. You have Carly Samuelson, who I think, just kind of needs to get a little warm and, figure out what her role is offensively. Bridget has been very quiet so far this season, but that's okay because I can feel like a rumbling of something brewing, I think. But Diamond Miller has come off the bench and she's played well. Alyssa Peely has come off the bench and played well, I think. And Jessica Shepard, before she left, was playing well. So the Lynx just have like a lot of like, they have some good players who can come in and give you something. Alana Smith as well. She plays hard defense. She can, get to the line. She can hit the three, spaces the floor well. The Lynx are just great. I think, it's just really going to be about consistency. It's going to be about, our shots falling when you need them to. And I think it's going to, I really just want to see them win, honestly. I just love this team so much. They're my favorite. I'm super biased, but, there are areas to work on, but it's kind of hard to be like, there are areas to work on because this is a very like specific system. And it really just, I think a lot of their offense really hinges on their defense and sometimes getting out in transition. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens, but I love my Lynx and I want to see them win a championship. So I hope whatever they need to do, whatever pieces they need, they're able to, get those. They're able to figure things out, tweak them. And I hope Napheesa Collier will be back soon with the team. Next up, we'll talk about the Mercury. The Mercury, they're such a dark horse to me, like at least to me, I know people expected them to be good because they have like some really good names, some big names on their team. You know, they have Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper just returned, and they have Satu. And I was questionable on Satu, and I apologize to both of those ladies, AT and Satu, earlier on this season. I want to be a hater of the Mercury, but they make it really hard. The team is just really good. The bench is great. The starters are great. I think what confuses me is that they do the exact same thing every single game, and it's like people aren't like, it's like people don't know. They seem confused when they go out there and play them. Like the Mercury will be off to like a bad start in a game, and then after halftime they're shooting lights out. People don't respect some of the players on the perimeter, which is so confusing because like Catherine Westbeld has been great on this team. Satu has been great. She gets in the paint, she gets to the free throw line a lot. Alyssa Thomas is somebody who a lot of the time, I don't know how, she ends up open on the elbow so often, and I'm like, so how does that keep happening? Like who's supposed to be on her? Who's her man? I don't understand. But the team is good, and it's upsetting to me because y'all know I don't want to like that man. I don't want to admit that he kind of cooked. I don't want to admit that. They have a good rookie. I I just, it's so upsetting that this team is good, but again, this team does the exact same thing every game. They play good defense and they shoot the three, and it's like people they're not. It's like they can't defend it, and it's confusing to me. I don't like it. I don't know what who needs to do what. I don't know what the scouts need to do. I don't know what the players need to do. But y'all need to lock in, okay? You need to lock in. You need to get in the passing lanes. You need to stay on your man. You just gotta lock in. I don't even know what more there is to say. It's y'all need to figure out how to defend without fouling. I get it, it's hard. It's AT and it's Satu and it's Ka. Like y'all are gonna have to lock in. Like y'all gonna have to figure out a way to do it. Cause I can see that this Mercury team, like I can see them really making like a little deep little playoff run. So y'all need to respect these ladies for what they do. They shoot the three well and they defend well. And even when you think that you beat them, somehow they always come back stronger. I don't know how. But they do. So y'all need to do better, and y'all need to start beating this damn team. All I know. Lastly, we have the Storm. They went through a little bit of a skid, okay? But they've been back winning. They beat the Lynx. I'm sick to my stomach. NECA, she's kind of been struggling. It's been a little uncharacteristic, but I think the teams are kind of just figuring out that if you're able to stop her or slow her down, you're able to win the game. And I think that's how they've been able to get that's how some teams have been able to get some wins over them. Gabby has been very consistent. She's played well throughout the entirety of the season so far. I think Skylar has also played well throughout the entirety of the season. Erica Wheeler has really come up big for them. Like, and I'm talking like really big. They've been getting some good stops. I think Dominique Malonga has been getting some good minutes as well. I just like the Storm. I enjoyed them last season. My favorite matchups are Lynx versus Storm games. I don't know why, but like those are just like the most exciting ones for me. I feel like they both like really show up to play well against each other, and both teams play really great defense. I think the thing about both of these teams though is that you kind of sometimes don't know who's gonna, like, where the offense is coming from, and I think that's easier to say about the Lynx than it is the Storm. But I think with the Lynx, they play such great defense against the Storm that you kind of have to have like people come off the bench and give you a good night, like an Erica Wheeler, or you kind of have to have like somebody else giving you some offense outside of Skylar and NECA. So I think watching those matchups has been fun. But the Storm are just a great team. I like the coach. I feel like she makes good in-game adjustments. And I don't know, they all seem like they just want to be there and they want to win. And they seem like they're gelling really well. Zaya Cook has been playing well for the team. And I don't know. I think I just like the Storm. I always just like the Storm. Ezzy is one of my favorite centers as well. And Obviously, she's not somebody who's always going to give you like a big night offensively, but she does a lot of the little things right. And yeah, I just enjoy the Storm. I think they're going to do they're going to make a playoff push, I hope. I would really like to see them go further than the first round this season. So, but I think with Gabby on the floor, and I think once they're able to kind of figure out, their offense and all of that stuff and who to turn to when, and if somebody's not having a good game, who do we go to off the bench? I think they really kind of have that down pat. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that's it. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm going to try to get this episode up. I might fall asleep editing it. And if I do, then the episode will just be up tomorrow, like evening. But yeah, thanks for sticking this out with me. Thanks for hanging out. I had a good time. I'm excited, to be back. And hopefully I'm here this weekend, fingers crossed. I don't really have anything planned. I don't have any money to do anything, so I should be here, honestly. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later on this week. If you again want to know my thoughts about games, or if you want to see me on TikTok live and talking about things more like as they're happening, my TikTok and everything is linked down below in the link tree. My Twitter, if you want updates of when these episodes are out, follow me, of course, subscribe, get in the comments, go vote on the poll. I'll see you guys. Bye.